Thank you, everybody, for joining us again on Chamber Chat. Today, we're very fortunate to have with us Chuck and Margaret Flaherty, the owners of the Magnolia Garden Center. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about the Garden Center. What's unique about your business?
Well, we believe that everyone has the opportunity to be surrounded by beautiful, healthy plants, and our goal is to provide those. Everyone benefits by exposure to trees and flowers inside and out, growing your own herbs and vegetables. So we strive to help everyone succeed in growing healthy plants for eating, for beauty, for comfort, for your structure in the landscape. Plants can do so much for everyone.
And on another level altogether, they soothe our souls. They comfort us. They can bring beauty into our lives, and they offer shelter to wildlife. They improve our mental health. They offer privacy. They do so many things, and they feed us too. Frankly, so we try to get all of our staff to help all the customers that come in to make sure that each customer is getting the right plant that they need to do to achieve whatever goal it is they might be after. We try to make sure we carry all the necessary materials that will ensure that these plants can thrive for each customer that comes through the doors.
Oh, that's great. So you've been in the group for years. What's it like?
This is our 25th year.
25 years.
Yeah.
What's it like running a business in the village?
Well, it's a unique situation for sure. Onad Garden Center has great rewards being surrounded by all the cool plants and stuff like that. And we've got a really great staff over the years that they've changed quite a bit, but they've always been plant lovers and people that we like to be around. And then we have great customers. We found out during COVID how much people appreciated us and loved us and wanted to make sure we were still around. So that was an interesting experience. We also have lots of people who want to come in and just, smell the flowers and walk through the plants. They maybe aren't gardeners anymore or aren't gardeners yet, but they're just happy to be around plants. We found that during the pandemic, there was a lot of people who just wanted to come in and enjoy the peace that we offer. And it was also a big thing after 9/11. That was another time when people were seeking out the peace.
It really touches our heart when people come in and just they thank us for being there so they can actually enjoy the plants and enjoy the scenery there and take advantage of our presence in order to decorate their own house or their own yard.
Make their own yard better and more comfortable and more peaceful for them.
Wow.
And that's the emotional, sentimental side. But on the business side, I just not to change the subject here, but it seemed a little daunting when we first started out with business there in the village. But we got all of our neighboring businesses were really supportive of the new business, which are the new owners. That was us. That were us when we came in. And if we had a problem, we'd talk to the guys next to us or across the street, and everybody would be able to help us figure out the village, Magnolia, the city rules and regulations, and so on. And then we actually got on the chamber board and started to have a lot more interactions with all the merchants, and got to actually help some of the events get planned and carried out. We've been doing things like the Christmas tree lighting since we started, the wine walks. We do a Halloween haunted house every year. This is all part of the chamber community that we feel like we belong to. And the last few years, I've been involved with the beautification committee, and that's had a really major impact on the village as well. So we're all it's something that we really feel very, very fortunate that we've been able to be a part of.
That's awesome. So you mentioned earlier COVID, which we're all very familiar with, but for your business, what did you have to do? What changes did you have to make? Are you still having to face some of those restrictions today?
Well, like all the businesses, like everyone who was in business during COVID, it was a real shock and basically reinventing ourselves on a weekly basis, it seemed. So we unfortunately had to close our gift shop to all traffic in March, and it was basically closed for 3 months. We're getting close to allowing customers to come in at the same level as we had before the pandemic. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So now that we're almost back up and running with everything to those levels, we did make some changes in the gift shop and tried to, kind of look at who was still coming in during that time and who's coming in afterwards. We've tried to add more new products, and like right now we've got a huge selection of jigsaw puzzles that a lot of people took up during COVID and are still continuing to come in and buy from us. We're offering more fun things like kites and frisbees. We've grown our candle selection and added some new lines of candles, including a locally made beeswax line of candles. But now we're restocking for things that go with the gathering and gift giving events that we used to have before 2020 got rolling there. And
because people are going to have parties and get-togethers again.
So now we get to have that stuff. And then, of course, we still have our gift cards, or our greeting cards, I should say. And we've been getting lots of compliments about the greeting cards that we've got in there. Our gift shop person, has been making a big effort to really try to beef up that line as well. We're also doing a lot more local guidebooks and books about the wild inhabitants of the Northwest. And we even have our own Puget Sound whale book that Margaret and I published a few years ago.
Many years ago.
Yeah, a long time.
We weren't even married yet.
Wow. I didn't know you were book people. Wow. Impressive. So you had mentioned earlier a few of these ways, and from the chamber perspective, I've witnessed 100 ways, but are there some things that you would share with the listeners or the viewers here of how you use the business to contribute to the community?
Yes, we've always, done donations to local fundraisers for schools. That's pretty much our focus in the village. We've had a Little League T-ball team since 2003. And something that you might not know is we designed and planted and maintain a little triangle garden in the road between Bartell's and the townhouses on 32nd. We've been doing that since the townhouses were built, and we decided that could, look really cute. And so we have bulbs in there, lots of other plants. There's a magnolia tree. But our most visible contribution now is the hanging baskets on McGraw. All those beautiful flowering baskets. Magnolia Garden Center has donated all the baskets and hangers each year, and we love how they've contributed to the vibrancy of the village. We've always had those baskets at our store, so we have like 14 of them just at the Magnolia Garden Center in the gift shop. So it was exciting to see the Village Beautification Committee focus on what's going to make McGraw Street to start with really beautiful, and by bringing in and building those incredible hanging things to hold them up because they weigh a ton, that was a big part of what's beautifying Magnolia, and how we love how they've contributed to the vibrancy of the village. Chuck has been on the beautification committee since it was formed, and which is really great. And we had both been on the chamber board for many years.
The list goes on and on. The way that Magnolia benefits from two of you and your business, it's pretty impressive. And one of the things I love about being a part of something like the chamber is to see, how people are so generous with their businesses and with their own time and their talents and energy. So, thank you for that. Um, if you would, getting a little personal, tell us something
Yeah.
about you. Is there something surprising about you that maybe the average person would love to hear?
Well, I guess my surprise is uh, my background is in biology, and uh, my first love, I guess, is marine mammals. So I was the curator of the Whale Museum at Friday Harbor for, back in the early 80s. And that's where my book came from, partially where the book came from that I got in the Whale Museum, or in the gift shop right now. But I continue to, I've been watching the porpoise in Puget Sound here just about every week that I can, when just go down to Discovery Park and keep an eye out for things down there. But
Hmm.
that's my off the beaten track activity.
And my surprise would be that I had a 25-year career as a commercial underwriter in the insurance industry before we bought the garden center. But Chuck's love of the mammals was actually how we met. I took a class on whales when I first moved to Seattle, and I had this really cute teacher. And after our class was done, I asked him out for a date, and that was Chuck. We got married a couple years later, which was great.
Wow.
But one thing is, we both had careers before we bought the garden center 25 years ago. And, a lot of people might be getting burned out on their high tech careers and stuff like that. So it's nice to know there are other options in your future after you've decided you need a life change. So
Hmm.
that's what we did. We went into the garden center, unbeknownst to us, what it was going to be like.
Wow. And look at the success you've had. That's awesome.
It took a little while, but yes.
Took a few years.
Resiliency is the key.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep. And tenacity.
Right. Well, I gotta say, I've been working closely with, Chuck, especially for 4+ years, and I've learned something new today that I did not know. So thanks for sharing.
Well, there you go. You're welcome. Thanks for having us on here today.
Absolutely. And one last thing for those that maybe are tuning in, they have never visited the garden center. Can you describe the location and then also website? I know I love following you on Instagram, other ways they can find you.
Well, we're on the corner of 32nd Avenue West and Smith Street. The garden center front is actually on Smith. We have our own parking lots. The gift center is at 2455 32nd, which is actually, we're on the same lot. It's just in a kind of around the corner from each other. So you can reach us at either of those places. Our website is magnoliagardencenter.com, and I don't really know what our Instagram info is. Probably Magnolia Garden.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chuck and Margaret, thank you again for all that you do for the community. Thank you for taking the time to join us here today and share your story. And we wish you all the best. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Jason.
Thanks so
Appreciate it.
much.
Absolutely.